because it elevates the pleasure neurotransmitter in our brain, dopamine. So it's a high pleasure thing. So the teen brain is flexible, adjustable. The downside of that, it will adjust to any environment. This is a new field that's being discovered called epigenetics, and it's our cells in our body adjust to our environment. So I grew up even in a social emotional environment. If I grew up in a family with yelling and screaming and trauma, I get used to it, my brain adjusts to it, and it expects it, and it's normal for me. And I will actually seek that out later. Same way if my brain's used to having THC flowing through it, it gets used to having that, it adjusts to that, it then craves that and wants that. It's a normal condition. The risk is with teen brains is they'll get adjusted to and fixed on whatever is happening in their environment in their life. So that's the downside. We condition our brains by what we do. So, the last sentence from Dr. Wybrow, why is more not enough? Is human biology equipped to cope with the demands of the 24/7 information-saturated, global and time-starved culture that we have created for ourselves and now have come to crave to the detriment of our health? So we like to go, 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 right? We like to achieve. So this is a little graph here, and this is from our Freedom for You group. It's our youth nonprofit organization. It's on the back of our card here, and it's kind of what we do, but I want to use as a frame of reference what we're talking about tonight. And you see the green, these are teen activities on the bottom. So the green zone over there, those things are fun, social, challenging, adventurous, healthy. So we do a lot of activities over there to keep kids engaged in productive things. And as it gets towards the yellow zone, we do life skills, and we have school-based counseling at 9 schools, and we're trying to prevent this red zone over here. All these serious problems that happen and that are going on. But as you think about kids, this is a continuum here. And for a parent, I'm going to talk a little while about how to see where your kid is at. I mean, you can observe behavior to see how someone is by what they do. But as you know, for a lot of people, we can hide how we really are feeling, and our behavior can be one thing, and what's going on in our head or what's going on in our feelings is different than our behavior. So I will talk in a while about how to get inside your kid's head a little bit to try to understand what that, because you want to see where your son or daughter is at, or the person you're helping is at. I'm talking about young people, same for adults. And I mean, obviously, if they're drinking, you know where they're at. You see physical examples of that stuff going on. But you may not know that someone is drifting that way. And in our parenting, we want to do a lot of engagement in the green zone over there, to keep people over there. Research across the country in high-achieving school districts reports elevated levels of anxiety, depression, substance abuse, and worst of all, suicidality. 20% of high school seniors report having seriously considered suicide in the last 12 months. And again, these are high-achieving kids as much as kids who have substance abuse problems. So why are these kids feeling empty? Why are these kids feeling like life doesn't matter? Why don't they care about themselves? Why don't they care about how they live their life? Why don't they see any value? Well, I think part of it is this overachievement activity that's going on. I meet a kid and I go, what are you into? And they go, oh, nothing much. And I go, oh, I bet you're into a lot of stuff. They go, not really. Okay, I go, well, besides school, what do you do? I go, well, I'm on the swim team. Okay, so what else are you into? Well, I'm in the band too. Oh, you're in the band. Okay, what else? Well, I'm in the theater. I'm on a service club. And I work a part-time job. And it keeps going. And I go, you got 7 things. The average kid has 5 to 9 things they're doing beyond school with their schedule. Rehearsals, practices, trips, meetings, opportunities, different things going on. It's way too much activity. There's also, research shows a disconnect from the mother and father happening with teens. There's a disconnect because the parents are overly busy too. This is the bummer part. We'll get better later. and the kids are mimicking mom and dad, and there's a disconnect. So I want to talk about what the disconnect is. It's not just the disconnect that they don't see each other. Like my dad was gone for weeks living with us, and I would not see him because he would leave before we got up. When I went to bed, he was not home yet. That's why I ended up in psychology, and I ended up here tonight. That's why I put life story there. 10 seconds. But there's a disconnect from a mother and father in terms of a relationship. Kids are living externally. Who's read The Price of Privilege? Anybody read that book? So this is from 30 years of research. Kids report living externally, living to please other people, living for the accolades they can get, living for the grades they can get, for the achievement they can get, for the opinion, your opinion of me, as well as online, how I look online, how people see me. They're living to please externally, and so in other words, they're empty inside. They're hollow inside. They said it. I don't care. 20% of kids want to kill themselves. Think about that. 20% of kids here, Palos Verdes, Manhattan Beach, Redondo, want to kill themselves. Anybody know anybody that's committed suicide? I'm not trying to be dramatic, but okay. Death is devastating in life. It's the worst part of life, but it's worse when it's a young person, and then suicide is a whole nother picture because it's self-inflicted. It's not an accident in a car or something. You talk to anybody at any of the schools, we have counselors here, some of our therapists are here, they work at schools. One of the high schools in South Bay said they have a kid a week in the office that they have to go, are you suicidal? Someone said, you're at the doctor, are you all right? What's going on? The principal told us we have 200 kids here on campus that any day they might do something. And these are not like lost kids in the red zone. They're lost internally. Behavior on the outside, you think this is a great kid. They don't want to tell people how they really feel. So we need to do something. We need to do something to change what's going on because it's out of control. And lives are being wasted, if not lost opportunities are happening. So kids don't know who they are, what their passion is. How do you develop the internal self? We're living externally. How does someone develop internal? Reflection. How do I feel? How do I think? Not what am I supposed to say, trying to please other people, saying the right thing. What do I think? What's my opinion? They're not doing some internal reflecting. And this is something you can do as a therapist, something you can do as a parent, is shift your parenting that you have to like asking open-ended questions to your kids to try to understand how are they doing, how do they feel, what's important to them, what do they like, what they don't like. Okay? So they can begin to reflect and actually get deeper inside themselves to think, well, who am I, what am I, how do I really feel about A, B, or C? And they don't really know. At least the process of having to search out is good. And it's creating some self-reflection and some internal development of the person. And as time goes on, they'll develop that more and more and more. And hopefully begin to guide their life in the way they're supposed to go versus living for others, to please other people. So we often don't know how to de-stress ourselves. And, I see a lot of parents stressed about their kids. They're not doing good in school. I heard someone today, the dad said, if you don't get A's, it's in 7th grade, if you don't get A's, you can't play a video with your friends. You have to get A's. How ridiculous is that? So if he gets a B, you can't play video games. Kids humiliated, demoralized, and not feeling good for being in 7th grade. So what can we do about this? What are some solutions? So South Bay Families Connected talks about connecting. This language has been going on for a while in the schools and stuff about this continuum of connect, disconnect, get connected, don't be disconnected. So that whole, what does that mean? And so we tell parents, get connected to your kids. And they go, okay. And they go, how do you get connected? How do you get connected to your kid so that you can see that where are they at in this continuum in terms of how they're doing? So one way is to slow down, and another is to have some carefree time. These are things you can implement in your life. Okay? Have some unstructured time. It's like I'm talking a different language. You're like, well, what's that? Unstructured time. Carefree time. Okay? Where you could just like do whatever. And you as an adult can begin to do that yourself. And then you can model that. And then your kid will go like, Mom, what are you doing in the backyard? I was just looking at that tree. It's this really amazing tree. That tree. What are you doing? Reading? Yeah, I'm reading a book. Reading? Wow. You know, you get some unstructured time, some time just doing whatever. And another is listening. Okay? Something adults don't like to do. So us trained therapists, we're trained to listen. Listening to your kids. You're probably thinking, what is he talking about? My kids need to listen to me. They don't listen to me. Why would I listen to them? They don't know anything. Okay? Every parent that I've seen has made progress in their relationship with their life, and I've heard it over and over again. Like, well, what's changed? What changed in you to make your family get healthier? And they said, I learned to listen. Even the men say that. So what are they talking about? They learn to listen to where the other person's at. Like if your kids' friends come over and you talk to them and they actually talk to you, right? You go, hey, how's it going? So it's fun. Oh, it's really good. How's soccer? Good. They're talking, this is so-and-so, and they talk to you. You can actually talk to them, right? But a lot of parents, their kids, they don't talk to each other. So why is it easier to talk to someone else's kids than our own kids? Because we have all these emotions built up and all this, why don't you pick up your socks? When are you going to clean your room stuff? That's put on the kid, and so that's all that. So a lot of kids want to avoid their parents. Yes, kids across the country, who could you talk to if you needed to talk to someone? I said, well, I could talk to parents, I could talk to a teacher, I could talk to a counselor, I could talk to a coach, I could talk to a youth worker. And they go, who do you talk to? They go, I talk to my friends. Because most adults can't handle what the teen might say. They have too much anxiety, too much fear inside of us. So you need to bottle your fear up and not express it if you want your kid to talk to you. The same way you talk to someone else's kid. You just actually talk to them like a person. You go, hi Sue, how's it going? You don't go, did you remember what I said earlier? Don't forget later, you have to do this and that. You're not gonna forget that, are you? So just talk to them like a person. Does that make any sense? A little bit. It's almost impossible to do. Try it. And maybe one parent can do it and the other one can't because they're just too wound up about their own life or how things have to be or how things aren't or what they should be or what needs to happen. They can't just be present and be there, just like hang out. Okay? But you ever spend some time, maybe on the weekend, it happens to me, if I spend time with someone for like 3 hours or like 6 hours or the day, you go together and do something, and at the end of that time you feel a lot closer to that person, right? Especially if it's a personal relationship. You're with that person at that time, I feel calmer. They feel a lot calmer. Why does families that eat 2 or more meals a week have like 40% less problems, less risk of depression, anxiety, suicidality, substance abuse, promiscuity? Because they eat dinners together. Now I'm sure on the dinner table they're not having group therapy. Must be something in that food, right? But they're together, there's a bonding that happens. So I encourage a lot of parents a lot of times to do some common activities with your kids, just hanging out. It's not taking them to practice or rehearsals or a lesson. It's just relational time. That will calm a kid a lot, that will ground the kid a lot, and it'll let them know who they are, where they're from, what they're about, where they're going, and not be externally focused. So time together, and then a lot of kids stop playing at 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. That's like a bad word to play, because you need to be working. You need to be doing something purposeful, something important. You can't waste time playing. The NFL, I laugh at this, spends millions of dollars doing commercials to go outside and play for 60 minutes. They have a Play 60 campaign. Commercials on TV telling kids to play. Can you imagine that? I can't. I watch it, I can't believe it. This is like so stupid. This is like, are you kidding? And they're like running around cones in the front yard with NFL players. Go play. You have to do commercials. Part of that's technology. that it's brought us to our devices all day. Part of it's we're afraid a kid goes outside, they'll get kidnapped. You know, it's not as safe a world as maybe it was before. But a lot of it is we're too focused on what we can't do and can't do. There's many people who are also, these are solutions, simplifying their schedules. And maybe in school that means leveling down from an AP class to a regular honors class, or just a regular level class. Maybe it means not having a kid in like 7 things. You know, all these rehearsals and lessons. Maybe it means just having, I think if you do school, and you actually do your homework, not like me, I didn't do my homework. If you actually do school and do homework, and then you do like one thing, you know, you're gonna have practices for that thing, and rehearsals and performances, and then you do another thing, you're gonna do this and that, and maybe do a service thing, that's enough. Greg's recommendation, okay? 3 things is enough. You can do more, but what will happen is the kid will be moving into this overly stress zone. If you look at this graph that I invented myself, the bottom we have activity going this way, increased activity. This side we have performance and quality of life, and you can see this is the famous bell curve, right? Like many things. As activity increases and effort, performance goes up, and you get better performance. Your quality of life is much better because you're involved, you're engaged, you're finding what you're interested in, you're finding your passion. But as someone continues with the activity and effort, it goes down. And that's what we're seeing for a lot of kids. Why does someone want to not live? Why is someone depressed? Why are they at elevated levels of anxiety? It's off the charts. Why are they getting drunk? Why are they using drugs? They're trying to survive over here, this is not good zone over here. Their performance is crashing, their life is crashing. And it's not only that they're doing too much, but it's a big part of it when you think of achievement and you think of success and you think of what is success. Okay, so our goal is to make a connection with our kid that leads to us understanding them. So then we can supervise them and be aware of, you know, how they're doing and what's happening with them. Okay? So if your target is achievement, I'm saying that's not a great, this is kind of an anti-American topic, right? I don't know if it's American, it's a little dramatic, right? But if your target is just achievement and just AP classes, just SAT, ACT, the scoreboard, the grades, then I think it's off. We're going to end up with unhappy and stressed out kids. Not everybody. Some kids can handle it. Super achievers can not only achieve, but maybe they have some balance, but it's not that many. So I suggest to make your target their character, what kind of person they are, and effort. You want your kid to do their best, put their self into it, prepare, study, work hard, and do their best. Then they'll achieve fine in life. With my kids, I was always looking if they were telling me the truth, if they were being honest. What kind of person were they? I didn't really care about their grades, seriously. I wanted their internal development I was into. What kind of person is this? What's in their head? Do they care about other people? Are they considerate? Are they respectful? Do they have integrity? If they have that stuff developing, they'll be fine in life. They'll succeed in life because they'll also care about their grades and achieving and they'll find their passion. But there's so many kids now who are, it sounds mean, but they're entitled, narcissistic, selfish. They don't really care about anybody else. They just care about themselves. Our culture is putting that message in all of us that it's all about us, it's not about anybody else. And then no wonder people are unhappy and depressed and life has no meaning. So, you know, Pete Carroll, who's Pete Carroll? There's a grocery store? Yes. Football coach. He was USC coach, Seahawks coach. I know Mike Gervais, a sports psychologist, is from this community. My dad was a football coach. Anybody know that? Who knows that? 5 people. That's good. Being honest. My dad focused on winning. When you're in sports, what do you want to do? You want to win. You got to score, you got to win. All right? If you're not going to win, who cares? It's all about winning. Pete Carroll, in his mind trip, on his Jedi mind trick with his athletes, does not focus on winning. I heard you guys talking about this. No, he never talks about winning. He never talks about winning. What kind of coach is that? He never talks about winning. He never says we have to win. We got to make sure we win. How are we going to win? What do we need to do to win? He talks about competing. We're going to compete. In practice, we're going to compete. In the games, we're going to go out there, we're going to compete to the best of our ability. So it dials it down a little bit. Rather than you got to get A's, you got to get A's, you got to get this SAT, this ACT score, you got to get in this college, you got to do these service things. Rather than that, focusing on just doing their best effort, the best putting themselves into what they're doing would be a better focus to have. Okay? So I think I've made my point that we're a little bit overly stressed out, right? So if your child, on the other hand, is calm, they found things they like in life, they're doing well, they're doing MUN, they're doing clubs, they're doing activities, they found hobbies, maybe they do service, then that's good. You can relax. You don't have to worry. Just go 1 week at a time, getting your kid through these years and helping them get on their way in life. Okay? And as I've said before, you're not really raising a kid, you're raising a 24-year-old. You're raising someone who at age 24 is going to be able to live on their own. And they're done with college, they're into their first, second job, and they can make good decisions, they can negotiate life, they're not going to get ripped off by people, even though we do it all the time, taken advantage of. They can negotiate situations, they can deal with stress, they can deal with failure, they can deal with disappointment, they can deal with conflict, and they can manage their life. So you want to look at what are the skills I want to develop in my kid now so they can actually be self-sufficient, independent, self-reliant to survive in the world. So you want to give your kid every opportunity to do whatever they can for themselves. So too many of us, we do way too much for our kids. We don't allow them to experience consequences of their actions, and we do stuff because we want to overly parent them. It's kind of like we're raising little princes and princesses. Like in the royal family, there's people waiting on the prince and the princess. Whatever they want, we got to do for them. Right? That's the way we live our lives here. We're trying to raise these super kids. We'll do anything for them. We'll take them anywhere. We'll buy them anything. It's way out of whack. It's not real life. And they need to do for themselves. They need to earn the stuff they get. When you get everything and you don't have to put any effort to get it, it makes you empty. It makes you hollow. It makes you not value your life. It makes you not value other people because everything's given to you. Okay? So, we talked a little bit how to. One thing you might want to consider is just listing all the different activities that your kid is involved in. Just writing them all. Besides sleeping and eating and hanging out with you, like what do they actually know? How many things are there? And just looking at that. And I think I talked about the benefits and the detriment. And with our kids, we want to be able to try to understand. We can look at their behavior. They get up, they're tired, whatever they eat. They go to school, they come home, they go here. They're doing all this stuff. Well, you want to be able to go beyond the behavior, beyond the visual, and you want to know what's going on inside their head and what's going on inside their heart and their feelings. What is happening there? They may not know. If they don't know, you're not going to know. If they don't know, that's not good. They need to be able to put words to their emotions, to understand their inner self, their inner life, to know who they are, what they are. And so I want to talk a little bit how to try to connect with that, because that's what you have to connect with your kid. You know, when your kid was 6, 7, 8, 9, they were really open to you. At 10, they really cared about your opinion. They really valued your approval, your acceptance, and they would basically do whatever you said. But if you say do this, okay, do that, you should do that, okay. But listen to whatever you say. What a wonderful life. They're very open at that point. Okay, that inner self in that kid that is still there inside of them. That's open, spontaneous, caring, generous. Little kids usually are compassionate for other people. They're spontaneous, they're creative. That's still inside our kids. But a lot of times it's covered up now with stress, worry, real life stuff. And so they're not experiencing any joy in life. They're not experiencing any freedom in life because they're just overly maxed out. Okay? So, this inner life. Questions. What are the thoughts and emotions that we would like to see in our kids? And what, if we found out what's inside of them, would be a concern to us? Okay? I had some parents bring a family in, and they said, like a what are you guys here for? They seem very high functioning. I didn't know why they came to see me. But then the dad says, because twice in the last month you said, you're doing your homework and your school project to a 14-year-old boy, and you said, oh, I feel like killing myself. He goes, why just said it because I was stressed? Why just said it once? He goes, no, you said it twice. He goes, no, I said it once. No, you said it to mom 3 days later in the kitchen about something else. You said you felt like you wanted to kill yourself. That's all. So, the kid's okay. But the parents are noticing, and they wanted to do it in front of me to figure out what's going on inside of you. What is happening? The dad was doing very good, noticing that obviously, and then trying to go deeper to see what's happening. So, a lot of these teens that are overly stressed out and overly negative, high achieving districts also have a problem. They said their parents are too intrusive in their lives. And so what they mean is that, this is what I'm not trying to encourage you guys to get intrusive when I'm saying get into their heads, get into their feelings. And as therapists, this is what we do all day. Try to get into someone's, hear their thoughts, hear their emotions of your clients. So it's not being intrusive in terms of crossing a boundary. It's like a lot of parents try to control their kids' thoughts. Like, you think that? You mean you feel that? Why? You can't feel like that. You shouldn't be thinking like that. No, you shouldn't worry about that. That's not, because you should think like this. You feel that about, no, that's, you could say that's guilt tripping, you could say that's control, but the parents can't help themselves. They're emotionally so overly invested in their kids. There's no boundary, like of respect, like talking to someone else's kid. It's like you're telling the kid how they should think. So these kids that are feeling really overly stressed, like their life has zero meaning now, it's because they're like, their thoughts have to be their parents' thoughts. Their beliefs have to be their parents' beliefs. Their decisions have to fit with what's in the right thing to think and feel. They're so overwhelmed. So we don't want to be intrusive. We want to back off and just talk to this person like a person, how you're doing, what's happening. So what we'd like to see is if we find out our kids are confident in who they are. This is stuff that would be in the green zone. They're comfortable that they have vulnerabilities. A lot of people don't want to show their vulnerabilities. They don't want to admit they make mistakes. I can't show that. I got to hide that. I got to act like I'm beautiful and happy. We'd like to see if our kids have some humility, that they actually care about other people, and that they're able to handle success and they're able to handle failure. Okay? To handle failure like a mistake, then you have to let them experience it. If they've screwed up, made a bad decision, you got to let them feel the consequence of that and just talk through that and work through that over a period of days rather than trying to patch it up and have them not experience that. Some people can't handle success. They get too excited and they go off and they do something risky. We'd like to see in our kids also joy, laughter, enjoying life, friends, and family. And that last sentence there is really fantastic. And that is something that gets squashed in us when we're focused on overachievement. The kids, and even adults, they lose a sense of curiosity. They're not curious about stuff. Like a kid is curious. A kid can stare at the flower for 45 minutes, or the bug, or nature, or listen to music and just go, wow. Curiosity, openness, spontaneity, inspiration. We'd like to see that happening in our kids. We'd like to see that in our life, right? Spontaneity, inspiration, something actually inspires you, makes you feel like the meaning of life, makes you feel at one with the universe, right? And so that, if we can, our kids can experience that in their life, that whatever it is, it could be anything. It could be science. It could be solving a math problem. And that would be great. All right, what kind of thoughts and emotions would cause us concern about our kids? Well, if there's extended sadness or depression, or if you hear their thoughts of hopelessness, despair, negativity. Many kids have like OCD now, where they're so wound up, so tight, they'll focus on something, they can't stop thinking about that thing over and over again and overly thinking about that thing. It could be anything that they're stuck on. If we see kids withdrawing, now some of this isn't thoughts, emotions, behavior, isolating, or things they care about, they don't care anymore. They lose interest in things they used to be excited about. They're like, I don't really care. Or this unmanageable anxiety. We're always going to have some anxiety. some stress, some fear, and like the bell curve is, and so it's normal and it's healthy to have some. But if it's unmanageable and they can't function, they're too worried about a test and how they're going to do at that test, or how they're going to do in the game, that they're so anxious that they can't, their functioning is not optimal, it's deteriorating. That would not be good. Or they just have poor coping skills, how they deal with difficulties in life. So how to check if your kids are okay? First, you got to be calm, like I said. You have to not react emotionally. And if you're not calm, you have to wait until you are calm. There's a rule for a parent: if you're all emotionally wound up, don't go talk to your kid. Go in the other room, take some deep breaths, calm down. If you're going to approach someone with intensity of anger and frustration, the kids are just going to feel intimidated. They're going to put a wall up. And you're going to be the last person they want to talk to, even if they did something bad. I was very excited when my kids did something bad. I said, great, I got something to talk about now. So I would not react, because us trained therapists are trained to not react when people say something very alarming. We just smile and go, uh-huh. And inside we're like, I can't believe it. So your kid tells you something, you have to not react. Later you can go scream in your pillow. Or you can talk about it with your spouse. I can't believe what they said. Did you hear what they said? Did you hear what their friends are doing? Can you believe it? What are we going to do? And you can brainstorm or figure it out, but you can't dump all that anxiety on your kid. They're not going to talk to you. Okay? So you got to somehow remain calm. You want them to talk. If you think like they're on the witness stand, but it's a nice court. They're on the witness stand. The witness has to answer questions. You're going to ask open-ended questions. Not interrogation. It doesn't sound good, witness stand. But you're going to say, well, what happened? What do you think? Wow, really? Those drugs? Oh, they're cheating in class. Oh, does the teacher know? No. Wow, kids are doing that? Really? Oh, okay. As your kid talks about, someone else talks about something, you'll get a sense of how they feel about it. You don't have to go interrogate them. How do they think? Why do they think? You'll get a sense. And then if you want, you can say, well, how do you think about it? They already know what you think they think and what you're going to say already. Before you ask your kid something or say something, you can ask them, what do you think I'm going to say to you right now? And they'll give you like exactly your 2 paragraphs of what you're going to say. If they're above like 14. Because they've already heard it. They already know your feelings and your beliefs. So you could say that. They did something happened. If you want to talk about yourself that bad, you could say, how do you think I feel about it? Okay. But it's not really about how you feel about it. It's about what they did or what happened. Now what are they going to do about it? What are they going to learn from it? What are they going to do differently next time after they've screwed up and messed up, made a mistake? And they may not know because they already made this mistake. So I don't know. So you could brainstorm with them. What are some of your options, what you can do next time? When someone says this, when you're in this situation, when you feel like this, when your friends are all this and that, what could you do differently next time? And if they don't have an answer, that's fine. Think about it, talk about it later. Okay? They don't have to come up with an answer right away. So getting them to reflect on their life, think about their life, explain their life, look at what's happening, and taking ownership of their feelings and their choices and their behavior in their life. It's their life. They have to learn to live their life. They have to be on their own one day. They gotta feel like it's their life. Many kids do not feel like it's their life. It's my mom's life, it's my dad's life. You ask that kid. It's your life, it's barely my life. It's my school's life, it's my coach's life, it's my everybody else's life. Right? But that's natural because we're trying to mold them and shape them and train them, and we are controlling their lives, but we're doing all these things with them. But you want them to feel like they have some say in what they're doing. You can't make a great tennis player out of a scientist. They might be good. You can't make you got to find out what they're good at, what their talent is, and try to hone them in that direction. And what you're really trying to do is create an atmosphere that's safe so your kid can actually talk with you. This is a novel thing in our society. If a kid can talk to a parent, the 8-year-old will go, Mommy, you don't believe what happened. Dad, I got to talk to you because you know what happened with my friend. But the 14-year-old would actually like to talk to the parents. They would like to, the 16-year-old would like to talk to the dad and the mom about everything. Parents say, my kid doesn't talk. He doesn't talk at all. But you see, do they talk with their friends? Yes. Do they overtalk? Yes. Do they overshare? Yes. Do they put too much stuff online, on social media about themselves? Yes. Kids actually have no problem expressing themselves and telling everybody about all their feelings and thoughts and everything else. They really don't. But there's a huge gap between how safe they feel at home. Now, it's true, if they're into stuff that's not good, they're not going to want to tell you. But that's what you have to find out, because then it changes your parenting strategy, right? If they're into stuff that's not good. So you're trying to create trust in your relationships. Anybody here have a great relationship with your grandfather or grandmother? Who had grandparents in their life that was good and meaningful? Great, right? Grandparents provide, there's not so much now where we live where the grandparents are, because we're all so fragmented, moving everywhere. But grandparents provide a real stability in grandkids' lives. Why? They're mellow, they're relaxed, unconditional love, unconditional acceptance. You can have as much candy as you want, who cares? No, forget your homework, just take it easy, let's hang out. Right? Parents need to be more like the grandparents. Parents are much more uptight, got to pay the bills, got to drive around, got to be stressed out. But it's a unique relationship with grandkids and grandparents. And you know why they get along so well? They have a common enemy. So we need to be more like grandparents a little bit more chilled, a little more relaxed, not so stressed out about every little thing that really is not important. And create some trust in the relationship. Kids will probably talk with their grandparents if they have the opportunity to do that. Okay, so our questions with our kids, our questions as we're dialoguing, need to come from a place of like love and caring versus control, fear, or anger. So a lot of the stuff I'm talking about is going to take a lot of work on the part of the parents to control themselves, moderate themselves, and relate differently. Your kid may not tell you the truth. Duh, you're surprised, right? Hopefully they'll tell someone. In terms of we're trying to figure out where they're at. Like if we take someone's temperature to see the temperature. You're trying to see what their thoughts are, their inner life. What are their emotions they're going through throughout the day, throughout the week. You're just seeing if they're on that yellow zone. Are they really going towards the red zone or not? Maybe they're not. But it's your job to find out. It's your job as a parent to know if your kid's moving towards having negative thoughts about himself, his life, or feeling overly stuck or anxious or depressed or whatever about something. And then what you find out then that changes how you deal with it, how you try to help them. Okay, you want to help them identify their main vulnerabilities. Every kid has 3 or 4 things that are a real challenge for them. A lot of things they're good at. Subjects, sport, that's fine. But there's things they're not good at. And when they leave your home, they're worried about. Or they have to deal with that person or that kid or that coach. Or how they think about themselves, or that friend, or that subject, or whatever. There's something that's like, they're not doing good at that. So you got to find out what that is. Every kid's different. You got to find out what it is for that kid, and then help that kid talk about that, identify that, and find coping skill strategies to deal with that. Because they're going to be dealing with that vulnerability for a lot of years. They're not good at something. They're not good at it. You don't just get good in 3 months at it. It's going to be something they're going to have to work at, whatever it is. It could be an internal thing, a relational thing, a mental thing. Those are the areas, if they're going to get tripped up, it'll probably be tripped up. So the other part then is, what does your kid need? So your kid may need, I had 4 kids, they're all different. One kid needed more support, kind of building up. Another kid needed the other way, they need more structure. They need less structure, they need more. They didn't have internal self-discipline. Maybe they need to hear no. Can you say no to your kids? I don't know if you can. A lot of parents cannot say no, especially teenage boys. They get angry, they cause conflict, they don't want to deal with it, we let them get away with a lot of stuff. Maybe girls too, because we don't want the conflict and all the stress of arguing and why you can't do this or come home at this time or you're going to do this or whatever. But structure and discipline is really important. Maybe they need a reduced schedule. Maybe it's the other way. They need more challenges. Some kids have not enough stuff going on. I know kids right now that have getting in all kinds of trouble because they're in nothing besides going to school. And so they got 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock is the highest risk time for teens across the country. That is the time they're going to try something they never tried. That's the time they're going to do something they've never done. Because basically they're kind of unsupervised, and that's when kids are doing nothing are going to do something. First time they try this, first time they try that. That's why after school programs and activities are so important. At Redondo High School, we have an after school thing where kids can go in this room and hang out there. Top of the hill, we have a teen center. But kids need Some kids need productive activities to get involved. You want to find your kids' interests, strengths, passion, and their purpose. When a kid finds his direction, like Dylan back there is being filmed. Just think he's filming right now, and as he's filming right now, he's watching the film, and the guy talking is talking about him while he's filming it. Okay, I just had to say that. He's found his passion. The girl was here earlier doing photography. Liz came earlier, she was singing, she loves music. If the kid can find his passion and do that, they're at peace. When you find something you're good at, it builds confidence. So a lot of what we do with kids is we help them find their passion, help pull it out of them. They don't know. It could be photography, it could be animals, it could be the environment. It could be music, it could be anything. And have them go volunteer in that thing. They'll probably want to do it because they love photography. They love animals. They go, I can hang out with animals? Yes. 3 hours once a week, you can volunteer and hang out with pets. Or you care about the environment. So getting a kid to start doing what they're interested in will get them going in a healthy direction. And maybe they need psychological help, maybe they need substance abuse help. It just depends what you find as you probe and as you get to know them, and as they share with you over a period of days and weeks, and they realize you're serious, that you actually do want to get to know them, and what they're doing, what they're feeling. What's happening with them, and how they feel about their life and their friends, and school, and whatever's going on. Who put that last sentence in there? Maybe they just need more yogurt and more ice cream. See? That sounds better, right? I just had to throw that in there. Okay, so we did this arts night, which was really great. We had music, we had hip hop, we had song, we had live art, we had experimental films, we had photography going on. We had hundreds of kids show up over in Hermosa at the Clark building. And it was just really, kids were doing live art. You could watch them complete their art throughout the time. I want to tell you, don't give up. You go through hard times. Show your love to your kids. Did you tell your kids you love them? Yes. That's good. Just don't do it in front of their friends. Give your kid physical affection. I'm telling people what to do now. Progress to that stage in my talks. Give them a hug. Tell your husband to give the kids a hug. Even though they're scared, if they are. But they need a hug from the men, too. Okay, physical affection is really important. It grounds the person. Touch. There's all kinds of research about touch, being touched physically, and how it changes your mental status, the chemistry inside of us. Very important. And most of all, you got to stay flexible. Okay, one of the best things that, the last point I make, and then we'll open up for questions and comments, is we have a group of kids. All our ideas of all these programs we have come from students. I interview them, just like I said, and I say, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Like this girl was here at the photography, I was quizzing her about how many kids she thinks at school do drugs at her school. And she didn't know. So you're not a drug kid? I'm not a drug kid. Well, what else are you into? I go, that's great. She's in the A, B, and C. This kid came to me with an idea of having a leadership group a few years ago. So long story short, we have a leadership group of kids who are these kind of outstanding kids who actually achieve and actually don't do drugs or party, believe it or not. And then we have other groups of kids that are having struggles, and we take these kids and we go do service, or we go do a fun thing. So if you have any kid that wants to be part of what we do, they can just let me know, or let Chris know. Chris, raise your hand. There's Chris Castle, she's one of our therapists. So we go to the Boys and Girls Club in San Pedro. We do activities with the kids there. This is Malia Prado. Raise your hand, Malia. She's a therapist. She works at schools doing drug counseling, doing life skills for girls. She's an art therapist. We have her going to the Boys and Girls Club doing art therapy. In 2 weeks, we're taking a group of kids, like 15 kids, 25 kids, to work with the homeless in Long Beach. And we've had times where kids will write a few paragraphs about their trip, reflect on what happened. Kids come back crying. Crying. Because the great thing that we do when we go there, we don't just serve the homeless or work in the kitchen and do it. We do all that stuff. We sit and have lunch with them. That's good. But the better thing we've learned over time going, it happens spontaneously before some of the kids start talking with these residents, people that used to be in the streets, and now they're repairing their life. And the person there who doesn't have a lot of teeth maybe, is telling them their story, and they tell the kids their story. And our kids, it's like beyond any screenplay you can imagine what their life went through to end up homeless on the street. It changes our kids. Our kids go, oh my goodness, can we go back tomorrow? I go, no, we can't go tomorrow. We do stuff with the kids that live in the projects in San Pedro. We do these fun things, and the kids are like, oh my gosh, this is like so great. The kids are like, please come back tomorrow. So service, if you can get your kids into service and giving, it changes the whole mindset from me, what I gotta get, consumerism, I don't have enough, what I need, and it gets into like, wow, there's other people there. And the person feels valued because someone needs them. So I can't say enough about service, but if you want to get any of your, and any team wants to go with us, we're going like once a month, twice a month. Summer we're going to do a lot of fun stuff too, like broom ball, ice block sliding down the hill, as well as doing like peer mentoring with middle school kids too. Okay, this concludes my talk for this evening.